Hey everybody. Hey. Thank you for joining me tonight. It is November, what is today? November the 10th. It is Sunday. It is how many days are we after the election? The election was the 5th, so we're 5 days after the election. I just want to check myself to make sure I'm live. If you guys can hear me as well, just let me know inside the comments just so I can make sure I am live. But I'm going to check real quick just to make sure that it's showing live on my end, and we'll get this conversation started. I'm thankful. All right, so we are live. I'm thankful that you guys are joining me tonight. So this conversation is just going to be around Trump's housing plans, in which he had proposed during his campaign when he was on his election trail, as far as campaigning to be the next elected president of the United States, in which everybody knows he's won now. I'm not taking no sides here. I am actually not a registered Republican or Democrat. I'm actually an independent. So I kind of always vote on those particular sides of the fence, per se. This is just to have a discussion around Donald Trump's policies. If you guys don't know me, my name is Devon Clark. I'm also known as Clark the Realtor. I am a local realtor in the metropolitan area of Atlanta, Georgia, and we're just going to jump into this discussion. So let's kind of just head right into it. If you are new to the channel, please let me know below where you are located at, what kind of brings you to the channel, what are you interested in, and what type of topics you're interested as far as discussing them. So if you are new to the channel, please drop some highs in the chat. Let me know that you're watching, and let's just jump into this conversation around Trump. And we're going to touch on 5 different key points that he kind of proposed on his election trail when he was running for the president of the United States of America when it came to the housing market. So one of them was around mass deportation when it comes to immigrants. He was saying that because of so many immigrants here, they are basically taking up our housing, as far as as Americans being able to rent and also own home ownership. So he said he wanted to do mass deportation around immigration. Another one he talked about was regulations, as far as cutting certain regulations when it comes to building homes. Another one he kind of talked about was around opening up more federal land. So we're going to discuss a little bit about that. Also, in regards to the Fed, the interest rates. So we're not going to touch heavy on that, but we're going to touch a little bit around him saying that he would basically try to lower the interest mortgage rates on homes for homes, and he was also going to try to bring the feds back underneath of the United States government. And we all know that the feds is not a part of the United States government. So he said he was going to try to do that. And in turn, he also said he would also try to fire Jerome Powell, who is the head of the Federal Reserve currently. And the last topic we're going to touch on is the tariffs. So let's kind of just dive into it again. If you are here joining me tonight live on YouTube, please put down in the comments where you're joining me from, what kind of makes you want to jump into this discussion. And let's have a whole discussion around this topic when it comes to Trump winning and as far as what he proposed. And if you have any comments that you want to kind of say as well. And then if you're eager and if you're willing, I'll drop the link inside the chat as well for you guys to jump on and have a conversation with me live if you're okay with that. So let's jump into the first article, and we'll hit on one of the topics as of right now in regards to what Trump had proposed. And we're going to get this started. All right. So let's see real quick. Make sure we have this right thing here. Again, thank you guys for joining me tonight. I appreciate you guys bringing, sharing your time with me. We won't try to stay here long, just an hour. Let me know if you can see this on your screen. And we are first going to jump into the topic that Trump proposed on his presidential trail to be elected, the president of the United States of America come 2025. So this is the first topic Trump kind of touched on. It was the mass deportation of immigrants. So it says basically right here, Trump and his running mate J.D. Vance has repeatedly claimed that illegal immigration is responsible for America's housing affordability crisis by putting immigrants in competition with citizens for scarce housing units. Trump has promised to carry out the largest deportation operation in American history, and argues that this will ease housing prices by reducing demand. So again, you guys, please chime inside the comments to let me know your thoughts in this discussion as well. These are just different points in which Donald Trump proposed on his presidential candidacy run. In reality, the evidence that immigration is a major factor in housing costs is mixed. While there is a reason to believe that higher immigration levels can drive up local rents in cities, the recent post-pandemic surge in home prices began before the illegal immigration levels jumped. So as you guys all know, there was a report as far as the Democrats and underneath the Biden administration allowing more immigrants into the country, undocumented immigrants, illegal immigrants, as far as that, into the borderlines of the of the United States of America. As I always tell people, we got to remember too, because sometimes people also like, they allowed more Mexican citizens to kind of come into America. If you guys don't remember, California and Texas was originally Mexico. They actually owned the land. So I always kind of debate with that issue when they say, oh, they're coming into the American territory, when in actuality they were the actual owners of said land prior to America taking over it. It also says right here, Realtor.com senior economist Ralph McLaughlin, says that the kind of massive immigration crackdown that Trump proposes would have large negative consequences on the U.S. housing market in both the short and long run. He said, in the short run, reducing immigration could severely hurt the labor supply needed for new home building, since up to a third of residential construction employment consists of foreign-born workers, he says. He also adds that in the long term, extreme immigration restrictions could have spillover effects to the broader economy. So let's kind of just dive into when it comes in regards to if you were to create this mass deportation and get rid of these undocumented immigrants, or as he said, illegal immigrants. So we're going to stop sharing that screen and we're going to jump into this particular screen, which shows you how many undocumented immigrants per se work in our labor field. So let's see. And so you guys can understand how this could actually how this could be very, this could affect us in the housing market. I know he is trying to say that he wants to deport the immigrants, but okay, so here is, let me see if I can make this bigger for you guys so you can kind of see this. All right, let me see. Can you see this on your screen? Okay, so this right here is called undocumented immigrants in construction. If you guys don't know, being a realtor, every time I go out to see these new construction homes, I always see a bunch of foreigners working on building our homes, our new construction homes. There are always a lot of foreigners building these homes because most Americans would not want to build houses. We don't have enough Americans that have decided to take up a trade. Most Americans nowadays decided that they wanted to, in turn, basically they went and got a college degree and they're not really doing physical labor. So with them not doing physical labor, we have more foreigners basically doing physical labor. Again, if you guys are in the chat, please just say something to me just so I know that the comments are on, because I don't know if you guys are commenting on the other end and I can't see it. But if you can for me, matter of fact, let me check real quick. I just want to make sure the comments are on, and that if they are, I don't know if my chat is allowing you guys to chat. I'm sorry, I'm trying to figure out. Yeah, I don't think my chat is on. That's weird. I don't know. Let me know if the chat is on. Give me 1 second. I just want to make sure that there's a live chat. So if you guys want to comment, you can. Give me 1 second. Sorry to break our thought pattern. All right. Okay. Thank you. All right. Thank you. It's on. Okay. Perfect. I just wanted to make sure because no one is chatting. We had some people kind of come in, but no one is having any discussion in the comments. So remember, you can discuss anything you feel in the comments in regards to this. What Donald Trump's presidency in 2025 will bring upon the housing market. But anyway, let's go back to the immigrants. So again, one of his outlines as far as policy when it comes to the housing market was to get rid of a lot of immigrants. But like I said, most of the immigrants actually work on building houses. And so it says right here, across the country, 5 million undocumented immigrants are working alongside their neighbors to keep the country safe. So this report was done in February 2nd, 2021. So this was kind of during the pandemic era. And it says these workers are building, maintaining critical infrastructure projects. And it talks about the different things they were doing. But it also says right here, construction workers have also continued to ensure that Americans have safe and secure housing. So this is basically telling you guys how these undocumented immigrants or these immigrants that are in America, yes, I understand how people feel like they are taking up a lot of space as far as our housing and different things in this country. And and not every person is a good person. So I'm not here, rallying for foreign workers, but I'm also telling you guys, like, if we were to have a mass deportation of some of these immigrants, that will bring a crunch or a shortage to some of our labor workers. So right here it says construction laborers. So these are people that are in construction, building houses. It says number of undocumented workers is 445,800. Share of workforce that is undocumented is 23%. So that's a large percentage of workers that are in construction. Carpenters, there are 225,600 undocumented immigrants, again, or workers. That's 19% of the workforce. Painters, which we need painters to paint the houses, 167,300, which is 29%. We got roofers. There's 75,600 undocumented foreign immigrants that are roofers in America, helping to, again, build homes, put roofs on your homes. That's 32% of the workforce that's undocumented when it comes to building our homes in America. Again, drywall, installers, ceiling tile installers, tapers, 55,800, 38%. And then you go on. So this is all in the housing field. You got electricians, which is 42,600, 5% of our workforce. You got brick masons, block masons, stone masons, reinforcing iron and rebar workers is 38,700, which is 25% of our workforce. You got plumbers, pipe fitters, steam fitters, which is 38,000, which is 7%. You got carpet, floor, and tile installers and finishers, 34,800, which is 24% of our labor. And then we got heating, air conditioning, so like your HV units and stuff like that, refrigeration and all that stuff. So 23,600, so that's 6%. So see, this is how many people that are undocumented foreigners that are working to build our homes. So if we want to actually create more housing in America, I don't believe that we should be deporting a lot of these immigrants. If they're in our country and they're serving our country well, in regards to, being a good citizen, working to help to move our country forward as far as creating more housing, building houses efficiently, I don't know how this mass deportation will work on the sense of actually making housing more affordable. Because when you take away these people who are building our houses, it's just going to make housing more expensive. And if you give all the jobs to American workers, where I say a lot of American workers do not really want to do construction, and you kind of pass it on to our American workers, it's going to make it more, the labor is going to be more expensive in regards to American workers. That's why you always get a lot of our work being exported overseas and stuff like that, because they don't want to pay how much it would cost to effectively pay for an American worker or American materials being made. Okay, so let's now jump into, so we just touched on a mass deportation subject. Again, if you guys got anything to say about this, these proposals from the Donald Trump campaign, again, they have yet to take any effect, but this is just what he said. So I'm kind of just basing it off of what could possibly happen if he did implement these things, or these things got passed through the Senate or the House. Again, please comment below how you guys feel about his policies and what he's trying to do. Again, I'm not on either side. I'm just seeing it from different angles. So don't beat me up here in the comments. All right, let's go on to the next topic, in which he stated that he had on the campaign trail in regards to when it comes to his policies. So this next one was around cut regulations and open up federal land for building. All right, it says Trump Trump has called for slashing regulations and permit requirements that home builders say add unnecessary costs to new homes. He said, "We will eliminate regulations that drive up housing costs with the goal of cutting the cost of a new home in half. We think we can do that. The regulations alone cost 30%. Regulation costs 30% of a new home," Trump claimed in a September speech at the Economic Club of New York. However, those figures appear to be dramatically overblown. The National Association of Home Builders, a longstanding industry critic of regulations, estimates that the site work and related permit fees account for 7.4% of the average new home cost, with overhead and general expenses accounting for an additional 5.1%. It says right here, many economists agree that streamlining and eliminating regulations would help boost home construction and reduce costs, though it's difficult to imagine achieving the extent of price relief that Trump envisions. Fewer regulations and more available space on which to build may reduce home building costs and help increase the housing supply, says Channel. That said, limiting regulations would be enough to cut prices in half, and ending some isn't a cure-all for the problems plaguing the nation's housing market. Okay, so he's basically talking about the regulations. So again, the National Association of Home Builders, they have their own association. So this is a home builder association in which they had proposed a 10-point plan, and one of them was to alleviate some of the regulations. And yes, there are a lot of regulations when it comes to when it comes to development, right? When it comes to the land regulations, permitting, the coding, the zoning. So there are a lot of regulations that kind of slow down the process of building. So actually easing some of those regulations would be good, but we also don't want to get rid of regulations because some of those regulations are needed. Because if you guys don't know, real estate is a very unregulated industry, even though there are regulations. So we don't want to be too crazy on easing those regulations, but we do want some ease around it, because if not, what will happen is that it will continue to create a shortage of housing. So let me make this article a little bigger for you guys as well. So this is the National Association of Home Builders. It says positions housing as a top election issue. So what they are that they are really trying to increase affordability when it comes to home ownership for Americans. And so we'll go down here because a lot of this is just talking about regardless of which party wins the House, thanks in large part to the NAHB's effort, there is a consensus on both sides of the political aisle to take concrete steps to address the nation's housing affordability crisis. So they were basically stating here, like, it didn't matter who won, whether it be the Democrats or the Republicans. They were trying to find ways to actually address this housing affordability. As you guys know, we are in a very unaffordable stage of housing right now, right? Our economical salary, or well, our salaries economically wise are not increasing, and yet our housing market is increasing. Our supplies are increasing, our goods are increasing, the gas is increasing, all these things are increasing, but yet our salaries are not going up. So they're trying to find a way to address this. And the National Association of Home Builders they're almost like lobbyists, which is similar to the National Association of Realtors. They kind of lobby at Congress, the White House, the Senate, the House, all those things to try to get some type of control when it comes to the real estate market in America. So it says right here, for the past year, NAHB has laid the groundwork to make housing a top priority at the local, state, and national levels. Last spring, they unveiled a 10-point housing plan addressing the root causes of the problem, such as excessive regulations, inefficient local zoning rules, and permitting roadblocks that prevent builders from increasing the nation's housing supply. So they created a 10-point plan, which we'll go over a little bit. It says right here, the National Association of Home Builders also endorsed nearly 100 pro-housing Democrat and Republican candidates for Congress, and more than 90% of them won their races on November 5th. So they, again, at the end of the day, it's not about what party you're on. The whole thing is like, who is going to work to solve this affordability crisis in America when it comes to the housing problem, right? So this National Association of Home Builders, they're like, we don't care who won, whether it be the Democrats, the Republicans. We got to remember, we are in the United States of America. We want to work together. We're supposed to be united and working together to solve a problem. Our citizens are hurting when it comes to housing affordability. So how can we unite together to make sure we can allow for affordable housing, whether it be under Donald Trump, whether it be under Kamala Harris or Kamala Harris? It does not matter. It doesn't matter who we're under. The whole issue is how do we create affordability for housing? And it says these actions helped elevate housing to the forefront of the political agenda. So a lot of you guys know that's what was talked about during the political election, with the housing affordability and things like that. President-elect Donald Trump said government regulations are responsible for more than 25% of the cost of new single-family home and 40% of the cost of multifamily. It says we're going to end all of that. And Vice President Kamala Harris also kept housing at the forefront of the campaign, pledging to work with home builders to construct an additional 3 million housing units. So both of them were on the side of like, we have to create more affordability for our American citizens, right? All right, so now let's go into the 10-point plan in regards to this, the National Association of Home Builders. Again, if you guys are with me in the comments, please share your thoughts, please, please, please. That's why I'm here, to have open conversation and dialogue with everybody around this topic, because again, I myself, I'm a local realtor in the Metro Atlanta area, and every day I talk to different clients in regards to house affordability, and it's crazy. Hey, what's going on, Monique? Monique said regulations are needed for safety issues. Exactly, like we need some type of regulations put in place for safety issues. That's why I said it's not about getting rid of regulations and all. It's about easing it a little bit in regards to making sure that it doesn't take a home builder so long to get a permit approved. It doesn't allow a home builder not to be able to build according to certain zone regulations or like certain codes, but it's about creating a safety net around it where we still have a regulation put in place. However, we basically stop the part of taking forever. And in order for us to do that, really, we probably just need more workers in place, right? We probably need more people at these offices that in regards to the permitting, the coding, the zoning, and different things like that, so that they can approve these plans and these different things a little quicker. And I think that's really the biggest thing, is about putting more people in place and more workers to work so that we can be able to effectively create more housing for the American citizens that's affordable. Because right now we're in an unaffordability home crisis, right? We're not, before in 2007, 2008, it was more of a mortgage situation. Right now, we're more in a housing affordability type of bubble. So, but I agree that we do need some type of regulations in place, Monique. So let me make this a little bit bigger, because I don't know if you guys can see this. So let me see. Okay, let me make this a little bit bigger. Let me know. All right, so this is the National Association of Home Builders. This is an association that most home builders kind of join. So they have put in place a 10-point housing plan that they want the either people in the government, no matter who is in place, they want them to kind of look at this home plan and see if this could help for affordability for housing. That's it, Monique. She said, right, it has to do with individual municipalities. Each one has their own rules and ordinances. Exactly. So that's why I tell everybody, everything is local to your city, to your area. But these are some of the things in which, like I said, Trump proposed, and then I'm kind of digging a little bit deeper into what he proposed. Will he get any of these, I guess, policies passed during his presidency? I'm not sure, because again, we still have to go through the House and the Senate and different things like that. They vote on these bills and all these things put in place, and then the president really just signs off on some of the bills, right? But people are thinking that it could happen because we have a majority Republican. I believe it's a Republican House now, I believe. We'll kind of scroll down and see. Okay, so this is the 10-point housing plan. We're just going to scroll through all 10 points, and we're just going to touch a little bit of them, but because if not, it'll take forever. So the first one, the Home Association the National Association of Home Builders, sorry, they said eliminate excessive regulations. They said on average, regulations account for nearly 25% of the cost of a single family home and more than 40% of the cost of a typical apartment development. Agencies and officials at all levels of government must thoughtfully consider the true effect regulations have on small businesses by requiring a more thorough analysis, including indirect costs associated with proposed rule. And they have right here, federal efforts to further regulate the housing industry must be subject to greater congressional oversight, allow for increased public participation in the process, be based on sound data and should only be undertaken after a careful consideration of the cost and benefits as well as the potential effects on small businesses. So they said at the local level, policies like rent control actually worsen the nation's housing affordability crisis by discouraging new development, which is key to bringing down rising prices. Okay, what did Monique say? Sorry, she said they say mass deportation. Does that include non-brown Black people who come from Europe whose visas have expired? Are they getting escorted out too? And that's the thing, we don't know. You know, a lot of it was kind of centered around, I felt like more they were kind of centered around from what from what I'm gathering. I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, correct me in the comments, or if you're watching this later on in the replay, you know, get down in those comments and correct me as well. But I'm thinking is kind of more from more Hispanic type of mass deportation, because or like a more uh, Black person, you know, because he was talking about the Haitians, he was talking about the Hispanics, like Mexicans and all those things. So again, I feel like the deep mass deportation is around that particular sector of ethnic races per se, or ethnicities per se, and then also races because Black, you know, African Americans is a race, or Black, you know, that's the race, and Hispanic is more the ethnicity. But yeah, so that's what I think it could be around. Let me know also too if my signal is going in and out, because it shows here that my signal is low. So that's what I'm thinking is probably more around. Is that I wonder about that. Just be fair. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing, is like we got to make sure if you're going to create this mass deportation that it is on all aisles of the spectrum, right? It can't just be one particular nationality, ethnicity, race, and not the whole spectrum, because there are a lot of you know, undocumented um, foreigners. There are a lot of, or you guys could say illegal immigrants or aliens per se, that are in America. So we have to be fair on all levels. If you are going to deport certain people, you need to put it across the board, like Monique said. Like, does this work? Is this certain people or is this everybody? So yeah, and that's the thing that I'm kind of fearful of. Like, please, if we're gonna be fair, we gotta be fair across the board, right? But let's go down to number two, which the National Association of Home Builders said. They said to promote careers in the skilled trades. They said in any given month there is a shortage of roughly 400,000 construction workers, and home builders will need to add 2.2 million new workers over the next 3 years just to keep up with the demand. So, like I said earlier, if you guys just jumped on now, like I said earlier, I kind of pulled up a data that showed that a lot of undocumented workers, and like I said, being in real estate, when I go to these new construction sites, a lot of the workers that I see on site are of Hispanic descent. They might not speak English, but they are building homes. And so, and they typically, as I showed you guys earlier, they basically they equate for about 445,000 workers. And a lot of Americans do not go to trade schools no more, like back in the day. There are still some that go, but a lot of them don't. So because of that, we don't have that many workers working as construction workers in the field that are Americans. And I've even talked to even some home builders, and they'll say, like, you know, I don't get enough American workers that want to come and build houses. Like, everybody that comes are undocumented foreigners or are foreign laborers. They're not Americans. So this could also, if that mass deportation happened and he deports certain workers, and these workers are the ones building our houses, how does that going to create a lower affordability level for housing, for our housing market? It's not. It's just going to create more. The houses are going to be more expensive, in my opinion. But you know, I don't have a crystal ball. I can't tell the future. But in my opinion, I think it would be more expensive. When he said, give the ones who are working and contributing to society in a positive way a way to gain citizenship so they can pay taxes like the rest of us. Yeah, and even some people probably don't even know this, even some of the undocumented workers actually do pay American taxes. They actually do. It's a lot of them that actually pay into American taxes, and they're undocumented workers. But like I agree with what you said, Monique. Give the ones that are who are working, contributing, and creating positive, um, positive things within our society in America, give them an opportunity to gain citizenship, and then they can fully pay taxes. But there are some undocumented workers that are paying American taxes. So again, back to that was number two. They said promote more careers in the skilled trade. They feel like there's not enough American workers working in the trades. They said number three, it says fixing material supply chains and ease costs. The cost of building materials has surged 38% since the pandemic, with the fourfold lumber price spike in 2021 adding more than 30,000 to the price of an average new single home. It says the price of distribution transformers is up 72% since February 2020, and the severe shortage of transformers is delaying housing projects across the nation. So they're saying federal policymakers can help mend faculty building material supply chains and ease price spikes and volatility, through boosting the production of sorely needed transformers and other materials, ending tariffs on Canadian lumber shipments into the U.S. and on building materials coming from China, and increasing the domestic supply of timber from federal-owned lands in an environmentally responsive manner. So they're also talking about basically easing the cost of these different um, supplies that are needed to build a house. Is it what she said? Okay, this is what you said already. So yeah, so that's another thing they're asking for. They said number four, pass federal tax legislation to expand the production of affordable and attainable housing. They said the low income housing tax credit finances the production of affordable rental housing, but demand for this housing greatly exceeds available resources. So basically, they're saying that they need to create more demand, give them more tax around such things so they can actually increase that. It says the National Association of Home Builders supports bipartisan, which we need. So that's both parties, Democrats, Republicans. We need bipartisan legislation to increase resources for the program. So we need everybody on every aisle to come together. It's not just one-sided. And we got to remember, we're America. We're supposed to be the United States of America, not, the divided states of America. Number five, overturn inefficient local zoning rules. So they're saying many local state governments have adapted zoning laws that inhibit home construction and drive up costs. Inefficient land use policies make it harder and more expensive to build. Localities need to rework their zoning plans to increase density and allow more flexibility for developers. Says the National Association of Home Builders, I support ideas such as reducing minimum lot sizes, allowing more accessory dwelling units, which is ADUs, minimizing parking requirements, and promoting missing middle housing, townhomes, and duplexes. In addition, localities should consider a range of housing types, including multifamily, opening up areas where residential development has not previously allowed, and prioritizing development around existing or planned transit stations. So basically, they're just saying like open up more space. He said, "Wow, you're going live. Didn't get notification." Yes, yes. Thanks for joining me. Hopefully, I'm making sense. I did decide to go live today, but I appreciate you joining me. Hopefully, joining the conversation. We're just talking about the whole thing around Trump's what he had proposed on his road to presidency, the policies as far as the housing market and how this, what it could kind of cause going forward. So right now we're just diving into the National Association of Home Builders, and they're talking about different things that they asked from both sides, from the Democrats and the Republicans. But I appreciate you joining, Croy West. I hope I said it right, Croy West. Thanks for joining in. So right here it says number 6. We're almost done with the National Association. Alleviate permitting roadblocks. So permitting delays at all levels of government delay housing projects and raise construction costs. At the federal level, Congress can reform the Clean Water Act and the Endangered Species Act to expedite the permitting process by providing clarity and predictability while respecting environmental safeguards. So they're basically saying that they have a lot of permits around these type of when it comes to building. So there are, I know as well, and when I talk to builders again, they do say in certain areas, like even down here in Atlanta, one builder was trying to build a house, and it was a preservation type of water stream per se near where he was trying to build, and because of that, it kind of took him a long time to get those permits for them to clear it. As far as that, because you have to preserve nature, you want to preserve the wild. Like we can't go around cutting down all these trees, you guys. We need trees for oxygen, in order to to breathe. We need trees for shade. Like trees are here for a reason. So there are some limitations that are put in place when it comes to building, and there's some areas in which they don't want you to build, or because of nature preservation, trees, wildlife, and different things like that. So it does sometimes take these builders longer because they need to actually go and make sure that they're not building on top of these particular parcels of land, or further away, far enough away in order to still have that land be used according to wildlife and things like that. All right, so number 7, adapt reasonable cost efficient building codes. Says new homes are resilient and energy efficient, yet there continues to be a push to mandate the use of restrictive cost energy codes that raise housing costs while providing little energy savings to consumers. So basically, it said the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development (HUD) and the U.S. Department of Agriculture (USDA) recently finalized a decision that requires them to insure mortgages for new single-family homes only if they are built to the 2021 International Energy Conservation Code, the IECC, and the HUD finance multifamily housing be built to the 2021 IECC or ASHRAE 90. So they are trying to basically say, from what I'm reading, is that they want them to adapt more reasonable, cost efficient, like it says here, building codes, where they're not paying. Hey, what's going on, Nick? What's going on? Thank you for this live. Thank you for joining the live. Hopefully you guys are getting enough information from the live. I appreciate you guys. So they want to make sure when it comes to these different codes and these different these different codes, that they're more cost efficient. They don't want to pay an arm and a leg in regards to the different codes. It says 8, reduce local impact fees and other upfront tax associated with housing construction. While some impact fees may be necessary to cover the cost of increased public services for new home developments, those fees must be imposed fairly with the cost to the home builder in mind. It says when fees are levied arbitrarily or used to fund unrelated city or county services not connected to new home construction, they unfairly raise housing costs for home buyers and renters alike. Excessive impact fees also act as a barrier to home construction at a time when more housing is needed to satisfy unmet demand. So again, they're like, you're charging us all these taxes, and these taxes are not going towards, from what I'm reading, I could be wrong, but if someone's from the National Association of Home Builders that come across this video or in this chat tonight, it seems like to me like they're like, you're charging us all these different taxes associating with constructing a house. However, these taxes are not going towards anything that has to do with home construction. And it says that the 9th one, it says make it easier for developers to finance new housing. Like home buyers seeking a mortgage, home builders and developers rely on banks for financing to build new homes and housing developments. It says banks posted a decline in volume of total outstanding acquisition, development, and construction loans during the fourth quarter of 2023 as interest rates increased and financial conditions tightened. So they're basically saying make it more easier again for developers to finance new home building. So the banks had tightened up because of the last. I'm guessing they tightened up too, right? Because of the last crash that we had in 2007, 2008. Again, this would be a conversation you might want to have with your local bank around these tightened restrictions when it comes to housing. But because of that, and it's tightened stuff up, so it's making it a little harder for them to get financing and get certain loans. It says Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and Federal Home Loan Banks should be encouraged to support a secondary market for ADNC financing that would expand financing options so that builders can increase the housing supply. And number 10, update employment policies to promote flexibility and opportunity. Building a typical single-family home requires the skills and commitment of 11 to 30 independent specialty trade contractor firms. Says subcontracting out large portions of work has consistently proven to keep housing production costs low, provide opportunities for small businesses. Says, but builders' ability to compete efficiently and optimally price a home depends on the degree to which overall costs are certain and predictable. It says the current patchwork approach for determining work status, i.e., employee or independent contractor, calculating overtime pay and prevailing wages and documented employment statuses not only creates additional and unforeseen burdens, but also decentralizes housing production. Employment policies and requirements must both recognize the common practices among regulation industries and be simple and economical enough for all size businesses to comply. So that's their 10-point plan that the National Association of Home Builders have basically proposed to the House when it comes to Democrats and Republican Party. So this has nothing to do with what side you are on politically. This has everything to do with the American citizens and the housing affordability. All right, so now let's jump back into, and again, if you guys got anything, you want to talk about in the chat, please do so. Like Monique was talking about some things, James Clark was talking about some things. Please, however you feel about the recent president-elect and how do you feel he might contribute to the housing market going forward, and what do you kind of see happening? So the next thing he talked about again was the whole thing of opening up federal land for building. So it says right here, Trump has also said he would open up portions of federal land for large-scale housing construction. These zones will be ultra-low tax, ultra-low regulation. This is what he said. One of the great, really small business job creation programs it will be of all time. We're going to open up our country to building homes inexpensively so young people and other people can buy homes, Trump said. This is one point that Trump and his opponent agreed on, with Harris also calling for some federal land to be used for housing and the Biden administration selling some public land near Las Vegas for that purpose. So again, this is what Trump proposed. Also, Kamala Harris proposed this as well. So they were both on the same side when they proposed this particular policy. He said, "Do you honestly expect this man to care?" I don't expect no one to care, honestly. I don't, like I tell people as American citizens, and I'm pretty sure we're aware of this. There's more than just two parties in America, right? There are several other parties outside of the Democrats and Republicans, right? Most times we only see these two candidates on stage when it comes to the presidential debate because they are funded by companies, corporations, lobbyists in order for them to get on those stages. And they have campaigns that are funded enough where they can have people call your phones, text your phones, knock on your doors. And so they're able to get in those spots. And so my thing is, like, when it comes to us and as American citizens, we have to open our eyes up to other people that might be in a position of trying to run for presidency, Senate, Congress and things like that. Like Bernie Sanders, he's an independent. I know a lot of people don't like him, but he's an independent candidate, right? He won his seat again in Vermont. And Vermont is all over the place. They have an independent Senate. I believe Bernie Sanders is the Senate. And then the House, I believe, is a Democrat, and then the governor is a Republican, or it might be switched around. But it's a mixture, right? Because at the end of the day, we're voting for the best person that we think is good for our state and our city, our county. But then nationally, we're voting on a federal level when it comes to the president of America. However, we need to look at other options if we want to see some possible change. So I don't know if he really cares. Honestly, he probably don't care. But again, we have to open our eyes and look in different places. There were other candidates running for presidency outside of Kamala and Donald Trump, right? Do you think he is going to check into seeing where they are from before deporting people? He is ignorant, sexist, and racist. Where do you see this man trying to be reasonable with deportations? Yeah, we talked about this earlier in regards to deportations. And we're saying that if you are going to deport people out of America, you have to be fair on all lines, right? And we also touched in regards to a lot of undocumented workers or foreigners that are in our country. They actually help to build our housing. So when it comes to them saying they want to create more new houses and for new construction purposes. Well, new construction as far as housing and getting more affordability and more people to be able to buy houses, because typically what happens, they say, right, if there's more supply on the market, then that creates a thing where people are trying to be more competitive. So because of that, they'll drop prices because they want to get people into homes, right? So they're saying if we create more houses into the market, it'll hopefully allow us to ease the affordability for home buyers in the future. However, if we deport a lot of our undocumented foreign workers that are in this country that are doing their best to be good citizens and working to help to make more houses, then where does that leave us when it comes to building houses in the affordability level? So it's all over the place. Because like I said earlier, a lot of Americans currently, they're not in the trade field of construction and building houses. When I go to these new construction sites, I see more, you know, foreign workers working there, more Hispanic workers that might not speak English, and they're working and they're building their homes. So this is all over the place. That's why I'm saying I'm just having this conversation for everybody to join in the conversation. Put your thoughts, your opinions, how you feel in the comments, and we'll discuss it on screen. So let's go to the next part. So the next thing that Donald Trump and Kamala both agreed with was basically opening up more more land. The our federal government, they have a lot of land in which that's federal land. So they were saying that we open up more of these lands to create more housing. This will help to ease affordability. Let's see. James said the farmers have a lot the farmers have a lot about deportation because, excuse me, they lose workers. Yeah, so it'll affect us all over, right? Not even just in the housing. I'm just talking about housing because I'm a realtor, but it'll affect us everywhere when it comes to. Sorry, I'm gonna move the screen so I don't keep on camera. It'll affect us in every avenue, right? So, all right, and then he said, right. Nick said, right. Also, a lot of workers he is deporting contribute to the labor workforce. Exactly, they contribute to the labor workforce. So it's all over the place, y'all. That's why I'm just having this discussion to remind you of what the different points he had said on his campaign trail. I would be surprised if most of these get passed. Some of them probably will, depending on the Republicans. But I would be surprised how much would be passed. But again, let me know how you feel in the comments so we can discuss. So the next thing was around, like I said, the land, opening up the federal land to build more houses on it. And so let's kind of just dive into federal land. I don't know how many people know, but most of the federal land is utilized for our national wildlife, forests, the forest is and different things like that. So let's touch on it. And then also when it comes to opening up the additional land for home building, my thing is everybody going to be willing to move to the western part of America? Because most of the land that's available that is owned by the federal government is more in the western part of the United States of America. So I'll let you know what states they're in. So right now it says, let me see, I don't know if you guys can see this, but let me make it a little bit bigger. So it says right here in regards to the federal land, it says in the United States, federal government manages land in significant parts of the country. These lands include 193 million acres managed by the U.S. Forest Service in the nation's 154 national forests and 20 national grasslands, Bureau of Land Management lands that cover 247 million acres in Alaska, and in the western United States, 150 million acres managed for wildlife conservation by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, 84 million acres of national parks and other lands managed by the National Park Service, and over 30 million acres managed by the Department of Defense. So again, these are the different parts of the national or the federal land per se that the federal government owns. And if they were, like they said earlier, Kamala and Biden had already did the thing when it came to the public land near Las Vegas. But again, most of our national federal land is Western. So would people be willing to move western to certain parts of America in order to possibly get affordability when it comes to buying a house? So let's see where the land that's the in America where most of it is kind of that the government kind of owns. So it says right here, if you guys can see, where are public lands located? It says almost all of the western states is where the public land is available. So it's Alaska, Arizona, California, Colorado, Idaho, Montana, Nevada, New Mexico, Oregon, Utah, and Wyoming. So if you guys like people that live in those states, they're probably cool, right? Like, yeah, they're going to build more houses. But the people that live on the East Coast or live south, they're going to like, do I want to move to the West Coast? Will I be able to afford something in California and Colorado? Because these states, they actually have high prices when it comes to housing. With the let's see, Corey West said he's a business, so I see his win as a good thing. I want to move back to Atlanta, however, I get more for the money in Iowa and Nebraska. I can get more for the money for yeah, and a lot of people. I was told that before. I had met a gentleman at an event that I went to, and he had said, and also I think it was a gentleman and a lady, and they said they lived in Omaha, Nebraska, and it was the affordability level was so cheap. So after she got out of the military, she decided to stay in Omaha, Nebraska, and of course we all know Warren Buffett lives over there and different things. So it is. They said it's cheaper to be over there. Again, I'm based out of the Atlanta, Georgia metropolitan area. I don't know as much about their real estate in those areas, but I'm pretty sure money probably goes a little bit further over there. But I don't know what the income levels are when it comes to money over there. So I'm not sure if you can kind of elaborate on some of that as far as when it comes to living in those states, if in like the Iowa and Nebraska part of the country. But he said yes, okay. And so yeah, so I'm not sure in regards to if you guys are wanting to move to these places where they might open up some of he said, oh, I'm not sure if you guys are willing to move to these particular states, but these might be the states in which they might open up more land and build more houses. So if you're willing to move to Alaska, Arizona, which I've been to Arizona before, it's hot as heck over there. I don't know how it is when it comes to the winter months, but when I was over there during like that mid fall, it was like 100 and some degrees. So I can't do that. I used to live in California. So I just like to visit California. I don't want to move back to California. Colorado, I love visiting Colorado. I visited Colorado before. That is somewhere that I would actually move myself. Idaho, Montana, Nevada, New Mexico, Oregon. I'm like, I don't know, but you know, it's different for everybody. But so those are the things when it comes to that public land that I'm thinking. I'm not saying that these will be the spaces in which they kind of build housing at, but if they are going to build, I'm thinking it kind of probably would move more over towards that space. All right, let's go back into again. Please don't be shy to comment in the comments if you're watching. We're just having a discussion tonight. So let's go into the other thing when it comes to Donald Trump. He said pressure Fed to lower interest rates. It says finally Trump also claimed that he would somehow lower mortgage rates, although there is no clear mechanism for the president to do so. Reducing mortgage rates is a big factor. We're going to get them back down to, we think, 3%, maybe even lower than that, saving the average home buyer thousands of dollars per year, Trump said in New York. Mortgage rates have risen for the past 4 consecutive weeks, hitting 6.7% last week. So this article was, when did they put this article out? It might be because mortgage rates have gone up. So this was November 6th. This was right after the election. And mortgage rates have gone up. They've softened a little bit, but they've gone up. So conventional right now, on the average amount for conventional as far as the mortgage rates right now, from what I saw, they were around like that 6.9-ish, hovering around there. They might have softened a little bit more. And then the FHA was around, it was like 6.5-ish. And these are just like averages. It might be softer now in regards to the FHA, but because mortgage rates, they fluctuate daily, weekly, you know, they fluctuate all the time. I don't think people realize. And then also mortgage rates are not directly correlated with they're not directly correlated with the Federal Reserve. I said, Dallas, what's going on, Dallas? Why wouldn't you live in California again? I'd like to possibly live in Sacramento one day. So I lived in California. I enjoyed my time living out there. It's just not a space that I would want to kind of be no more. it's weird when you come from the East Coast and then you're more kind of transparent and real. And when I lived in California at the time, prior to jumping into real estate, I actually was in the entertainment space and I worked in the entertainment industry. And so it just was a different vibe. You know, people, um, they have ulterior motives. So I think I would have to find more of my California people if I lived in California again to kind of take in that effect of loving California. But I love visiting California. I love the beaches. I love the weather. So, but to live there again at the moment, no, I don't think so. He said, I like to live in Sacramento one day. All right. I've never been to Sacramento. So you gotta let me know. Do you currently live in California as well, or you would just want to kind of move that way and shift to Sacramento? Nick said it's dry heat in Arizona. Yeah, it's dry heat in Arizona, Nevada. I'm like when I went to Vegas, when I used to live in California, me and my friend we drove to Vegas, and I can't take Vegas either. So I can't take Nevada either. I can't do it, y'all. Can't do it at all. So let's see. When it comes, so let's jump back in this. So when it comes to the interest rates, like I was saying, as far as Donald Trump right here, he said, in regards, the president doesn't set mortgage rates. If elected, Trump probably won't be able to arbitrarily decide to lower them, even if he wanted to, says Channel. Trump has previously shared his belief that the Federal Reserve should take orders from the president instead of independently setting monetary policy as it currently does. But even the Fed does not directly control mortgage rates, which I just mentioned, which following the underlying bond market and move in response to investor expectations about the economy, inflation, and future fiscal and monetary policy. So as you guys see, the mortgage rates are not directly corresponding to the Fed. The Fed is basically more, they're trying to control inflation in America. That's what the Feds are put in place to do. They're trying to control inflation in America. And that's basically the consumer goods like gas, groceries, the job market, different type of things. They want to create an economical, hopefully make the economy whole. And what happens is indirectly mortgage rates are correlated, but they kind of exist on the 10-year treasury bond. So the more bonds, I believe it's the more bonds that are bought, the interest rates go down, I believe. Again, talk to somebody in the mortgage field. I'm a realtor. I do talk to my mortgage lenders all the time, but I want you guys to get the exact information. But I believe from my knowledge is that as if they buy more bonds and the bonds are being bought more frequently, the interest rates go down. If less bonds are bought, interest rates go up. So what's happening right now from what I'm seeing and from the different research that I'm doing, because this housing market, the real estate market is a little volatile right now. Investors that typically are buying these bonds, they're like, oh, I don't know if I want to keep buying bonds in this space. I'd rather buy stuff in different areas and put my money in different places. And because the housing market is kind of all over the place and it's volatile at the moment. And because of that, when the interest rates did go down, and which makes it easier to borrow money per se, as interest rates go down, it makes it a little bit easier to borrow money. The investors decided that they didn't want to kind of play that much really in that space, and they went and they started putting money in investing in different areas. And so the interest rates kind of stayed steady a little bit and kind of went up a little bit because they just were like, I don't want to invest. I don't want to buy no bonds right now. LOL, hit card. Good to see you live. I live in Chicago area. Surprisingly, it's not so bad here, and surprisingly, the weather is actually tolerable compared to the DMV area or Texas, where I've also lived. Okay, okay. Chicago. I've been to Chicago before. Me and my one friend, we drove across country. So when we were driving across country, I've been to a few states, and we stopped in Chicago. We were in Chicago. I had a security shirt on at the time. It said security real big, and in the back it said security. In the front, it was black. And we went, and at the time, Beyonce was coming to Chicago for a concert, and we were walking in the street near the stadium, and one of the people thought I was supposed to be Beyonce security. So I was like, I know, I just have the shirt on. I'm not Beyonce security. and so my friend was like, you should have went. You could have been with Beyonce. I'm like, Beyonce cool, but I'm not a Beyonce fanatic. So I'm just trying to live my best life in Chicago and walk downtown and get me some Chicago pizza, because y'all have the pizza that they make over there with the deep crust and the what is it, the cheese underneath and the sauce on top. I forget what place I went to. It was one of y'all famous places in Chicago, but I didn't really like the pizza from there. I don't know if it was Nancy's. I don't know. I might be making Nancy's up. No, Nancy's might be down here in Atlanta. Ooh, it was started with an F, I think, in Chicago. It started with an F. I don't know. Let me know, Dallas. Let me know. Portia, what's going on, Portia? What is the mortgage rate right now? So let's see what the mortgage rates are right now. I go to Mortgage News Daily, and so this is basically taking the national. This is basically giving you the national, what it corresponds with as far as nationally as of right now, the mortgage rates. So let's see if we can pull it up, and then you guys can see it. So let's get off the screen real quick. Hey, what's going on, Eddie? What's going on? I'm like, I missed Christina's live tonight because I was I had an open house that I was doing for my clients, so I missed you guys, and I was like, let me try this whole streaming live as far as when it comes to talking about the housing market and things going on. But thank you for jumping in and jumping on live. I appreciate it so much. So if you guys don't know, Christina Smallhorn and Eddie Smallhorn, they are also they're YouTubers as well. Or Christina's a big YouTuber. Eddie works alongside his wife, helping her. She's an amazing woman. They're both amazing people. They have a great platform about housing market, about everything when it comes to real estate. And you guys really need to go over there and give them a subscription, like their channel, watch their videos, because they are great. They're just great people. Eddie, Christina, Jackie Baker, Jen Sylvester, all wonderful people. I hope it was a great open house, Clark. It was okay. I'm gonna be honest. We only had one person come out. It was a family of 4. They came. They are relocating from the state of Washington, and they just got off the plane actually yesterday. Told me and started looking in Atlanta. So it wasn't a big turnout, but as we all know, I've been talking to other realtors in the area, and they've all been saying the same thing as far as the turnout has been slow because of the unaffordability level when it comes to the housing market. So it wasn't the biggest turnout, but it was something that can lead to hopefully a bigger goal, right? So right now, Portia is saying that if you guys can see at the top, let me see. Let me try to make this bigger at the top. When it comes to, here we go. When it comes to so this is the average. This is the average thing across the nation. It's saying that 30-year fixed right here is about 6.92. So this is conventional. 15-year fixed is about 6.37. So this is conventional again. And we'll have to look into the FHA. I don't know where the FHA is at. Let me see. What Eddie said. How is the market in Atlanta right now? The market is interesting. I was going to dive into real quick when it comes to our FMLS before I jump off of here. It's very interesting. I believe when I looked into FMLS earlier, we got 2 FMLSs. MLSs that we use in this Metro Atlanta area. We have the FMLS and the GMLS, and so the realtors don't put all their houses in each platform. Some of them might put them in both. Some of them might put them in one. So I usually look at the FMLS because it's more user friendly. But I also dabble in the GMLS as well. But when I looked at it earlier, I believe the average home price was down from a year or so ago, or a month ago. So I was going to dive in there a little bit. So it's kind of been all over the place. Things are falling out of contract, going back on the market because of these interest rates. We still have people buying, but the housing market is still down here. It's kind of staying a little steady. In certain areas, you do see some dips in the home prices. But when it comes to, let's say, if you want to live in an area, let's say Gwinnett County or Alpharetta or things like that, you might see home prices kind of staying steady for a little bit longer. So it all depends on the city, the county. But yeah, the market right now in Atlanta is all over the place. No matter where you go, it's all over the place. If you're on the east side, east of Atlanta, if you're west of Atlanta, south of Atlanta, north of Atlanta, because Atlanta itself, you have Fulton County, and then you have the counties around it. Atlanta is really small. It just sits literally in the middle of Fulton County, and then you have those counties that kind of surrounded DeKalb, Cobb, Clayton, Gwinnett. As you go further out, you have Newton, Rockdale. So it's all over the place. And so he said, "What's the average days on market?" So the average days when I looked in the FMLS, the average I think might have been 32 or 37, 30. That might have been the medium average, but the average days, let's see real quick. The average days, I believe it was either that 37, 32 or it was 50 something when it came to the average days. So let's check real quick. I'll let you guys know, and then we can, so you guys can kind of get a little bit more of what it's looking like in Atlanta. What did Corey say? I understand you're reading the data, but where do you see the housing market in the next year for first time home? Oh Lord. I'm like, I don't want to be a doom and gloomer, you guys. I have this discussion all the time with my dad. The way it's going right now with the housing market, I honestly feel like it's going to be shaky depending on where you're at. Just because, like I said, the unaffordability levels, the interest rates, I don't know if the interest rates will soften anytime soon. They're predicting that they will hopefully go down in 2025, mid 2025, into 2025. They're saying like it might look more good around 2026. The problem is that the unaffordability level as houses are just ridiculously expensive. Let me know if you guys can see this. I just switched my screen and of course it went to a different screen. Let me get to the screen first. Sorry, you guys, because when I switch it, it switches over. So that's so you guys can see my stats and the housing market down here. So sorry, Croix. I just wanted to get to the screen real quick so you guys can kind of see some of what's happening down here. Then we'll get back to that conversation. So when it comes to the market for next year for first-time home buyers, what I'm saying is I think what's going to happen, and it's on both ends. For when it comes to sellers, I think what's going to happen is going to be people that are in distressed situations are going to end up selling next year in order for income purposes. Just because I feel like next year is going to be a shaky year for people. I just feel like because of the policies put in place, the economy and everything, it's going to be really shaky. So what I'm doing personally myself is I'm paying down any debts right now. So I have a car debt that I need to pay down. I have a credit card debt I need to pay down. So I'm personally paying off my credit card and my car debt because come next year, I just feel like it's going to be a little shaky. I feel like there will be some people that will win in the situation that's been sitting on the sidelines, that have money saved up, that possibly maybe be able to buy cash or put more down when it comes to buying a house next year. But I feel like if you find yourself in an unsettling situation, it might not be the perfect time to pounce next year. And this is just in my opinion. Everybody has their own opinion in real estate. This is just from me looking at the data, me watching stuff, and seeing what's happening. Hey, what's going on, Christina? I shout out your channel because Eddie joined as well. I appreciate you guys joining in on the live stream. I had to shout out your channel because you guys are the best. These Christina again and Eddie Smallhorn are wonderful real estate YouTubers, but outside of that, they're just wonderful people. Christina is a real estate agent down in Louisiana, and Eddie and her husband, they also invest. So again, if you guys are looking for some good real estate videos, good information around real estate, you got to go over and support Christina Smallhorn. She is just a blessing, her and her husband Eddie. So all right, so sorry, Corey West, I hope I kind of answered the question. I probably didn't because I feel like I'm all over the place. I'm in the FMLS now, as far as touching on this when it comes to what our market is looking like down here in Atlanta. So let's see, in Atlanta right now, it says the medium sales price in Atlanta has gone down. So in September 2024, we're at 407. And again, this is the FMLS. So the FMLS is just one of our MLS systems. We have two. So all the data is not in the system. So it might be different in our GMLS. So FMLS stands for the First Multiple Listing System, and then the GMLS stands for the Georgia Association Multiple Listing System or Service per se. So it went down so the medium sales price right now is down to $400,000 in October, and so they're behind because everything is going to be behind. We just entered November, so November stuff will come out in December. The average sales price right now again went down, was at $526. Now it's down to $488,125 dollars, or not data. And then what Eddie asked earlier as far as days on market. So the medium days on market is 27. Sorry, I said 37. I know it was a 7 somewhere. 27 days in the medium as far as medium wise, but average wise is 42. So come October is 42 days on the market, and then cumulative is 32 medium wise, and then 53 cumulative average days on market and right now in our Atlanta market. Um, so let me see. So we are our days on market is rising, and also our inventory down here is rising too. When it comes to our months of supply, we are rising in Atlanta, in the metro area of Atlanta. We are going up. We are at 4.1, basically 4 months as of October 2024. So as you guys see, all the way down here, we were, and during that pandemic time, we were low, really low in supply, very, very low. And now we're just, it's rising, it's rising, it's rising, it's rising, which is, I'm thinking, of course, from and being a realtor, that that's probably why the home prices are coming down. Sorry, you guys, if I keep looking down. I have at 8:30. I can't stay on here this long. At 8:30, I actually have a conversation with my seller because we went under contract and then for his house and and the person with us, we're under contract with a contingent situation. They had their home inspection. They sent us back their inspection report and their amendment to address concerns. And so we have a conversation at 8:30. So I'm like, I'm doing this live, but I'm also, my phone is buzzing. I'm like, oh shoot, what's going on? So sorry, I apologize, you guys. But yeah, Corey West. I hope I'm saying your name right. When it comes to understanding and reading the data with the housing market in the next year for first-time home buyers, I just say again, if it makes sense to you to buy, then if you feel like you saved enough money, if you feel like you're in a good position, then you know everybody's timeline is different. It's so hard to really speak about when is the best time for you to buy because everybody's timeline is different. Everybody's financial situation is different. But if you feel like you're in a solid space and you want to kind of move that route or just get prepared to move that route, so maybe by the end of 2025, 2026, you embark on that home ownership journey as far as a first-time home buyer. But just from what I'm saying, I just tell people just be prepared, pay down any debts that you have, save some money and different things like that. So, okay, average days on market. Hopefully that helped with Eddie when it came to average days on market. Christina said, Eddie told me you were live and I wanted to see some love, send some love your way. Well, I appreciate it, Christina. Thank you for sending love your way. Oh, Croy, I'm sorry, Croy West. My bad. Sorry, Croy West. Thank you for the pronunciation. I appreciate you sending lives my way, love my way, Christina and Eddie. Both of you guys, I appreciate it. Builders seem to continue to build. Yes, they are continuing to build. They are buying land. However, we did see, so in Atlanta, outside of Atlanta, more east of Atlanta, Rivian, which is they built those electric cars and everything. They actually had bought land. They started developing the land, and then what happened is that because of their debt and everything, they actually stopped. So now it's just a piece of land that's graded in a part east of Atlanta where they were supposed to build, and they're not, and they just stopped. They decided to stop, halt production. What did Monique said? Mass deportation will be good for the economy. If he's such an expert on the economy, he would understand this concept. Will not, sorry. Mass deportation will not be good for the economy. He has no real plans, just concepts of plans. Yes, that's true. Building on federal land sounds nice as long as they preserve it as much as possible. Make sure there's job opportunities and things people need to live, grocery stores, restaurants, etc. Yeah, you have to. It'll be interesting. Like again, and it also depends on, are you willing to move to those spaces in which the federal land opens up for them to build on? Because everybody might not want to move west of America. If people live in certain areas, and if there's not that much federal land that's preserved in your area in order for them to build on, is it going to make sense for you to up and move? Is your job going to relocate you out there? Are you going to have a work from home job? Like all these things got to come into, you got to think about these different factors. Like, will you be able to relocate west to some of these, to where most of the federal land is at? Will you be able, do you want to live in certain weather conditions? Do you have a job in that area? Because you can't buy a house if you don't have a job, especially if you're financing. Well, you can buy a house with cash if you don't have a job, but if you're financing, you can't. So it's different things that come into effect. And then also, your children, if you have children and they and their friends and everything. I know some people be like, well, I don't care about their friends. We trying to live our best life. So I don't know. Monique, thank you. He does not even listen to scientists or economists and relies on common sense. I won't argue with that, but when you talking about a concept of a plan, that's worse. That's worrisome. Yeah, it's all over the place. So So yeah, so this is the information when it comes to Atlanta's market. Again, it's some of our information in our FMLS system. This also shows homes pending. As you guys can see, it's down. The medium level of homes pending is down, which could be good and bad. It could be good in the sense of like, yay, they're getting more inventory off the market. People are actually closing, but it also can be bad. Was like, no, people are not buying, so there's not enough homes pending because it's going down. You see how it was like up in 2022, like we had so many things going under contract, and then it's going down. So it depends on how you kind of look at it. You can say yay or nay. I look at it as no because that's just basically showing you that we have less homes, on the market for sale. Well, we have a lot of homes on the market now because our inventory is going up, but we have less people being able to actually go under contract because the affordability is just so unaffordable. So yeah, so these are the pending sales, and as again, these are down, as you guys can see. So a lot of it is kind of, you know, transitioning down in the metropolitan area of Atlanta. I know you guys might see some cool realtors online, and I love them. They might be saying, "Oh, metropolitan Atlanta is doing great." Yes, we do have a lot of migration coming to the metropolitan area of Atlanta, but we are seeing a stiff market right now. We are seeing things sitting longer. We are seeing people that are we see contracts that are pending that are falling out of contract because of the unaffordability, I should say, because of the interest rates going up. If these people if they didn't lock their interest rate, they might not qualify for maybe the spread that they had earlier as far as their loan. They might have went down in their loan because because of their debt to income and their interest rates and different things like that. With the interest rates, they kind of maybe they were approved for $500,000, but because interest rates kind of went up, if they were maybe let's just say this is hypothetically, let's say if they were at 6.1 interest rate when they first entered the market, and that's what they got pre-approved around per se, because they don't most lenders don't really lock your interest rate until you go under contract, and you ask you want make sure that they lock it. Sometimes people will ask just to float, but if that happened, if some people just wanted to see where it was going, because people were like, oh, I was told the feds were going to cut, interest rates might go down, so I didn't want to lock right away. And now the interest rates went up, and whatever they were approved for, pre-approval wise, their pre-approval might have went down, so they might not be able to afford say property they were under contract for. I don't know. It's a lot of different reasons when it comes to stuff falling out of contract, financing issues, contingency situations. It's a lot, you guys. So I appreciate everybody jumping on here tonight. I appreciate Christina, Eddie jumping on here, giving me some love. Corey West, I appreciate you guys. Monique, James, Dallas, Portia, Nick. I appreciate everybody coming into space and having, a talk around this discussion. We'll probably head out in the next maybe like 5 minutes when it comes to this whole thing around that. The last thing I kind of want to touch on in regards to Trump's situation was the tariffs. He had said that he would implement tariffs. And so let's kind of see about the tariffs real quick. So it says right here, when it comes to the tariffs, that Trump implemented it in his last cycle. It says Trump administration imposed $80 billion worth of new taxes on Americans by levying tariffs on thousands of products valued at approximately $380 billion in 2018-2019, amounting to one of the largest tax increases in decades. But also, the Biden administration has kept most of Trump administration tariffs in place, and in May of 2024, announced tariff hikes on an additional $18 billion of Chinese goods, including semiconductors and electric vehicles, for additional tax increase of $3.6 billion. So I'm like, I wonder if that was the situation in regards to Rivian, because like I told you guys, Rivian decided to drop out as far as, well, not drop out, but, decided to put a pause on building down here in this Metro Atlanta. When is the episode? When is what episode? When is the episode? What do you mean? When is the episode? Let me know. I don't know what you mean by that. When is your next live? How often? I'm trying to figure. Oh, maybe that's what James meant. When is the episode? I'm trying to figure out what's a good time to come on. So Christina comes on Sundays. So I really don't want to come on Sundays because I like to be in her chat and play in her space and moderate in her comments. So I was trying to think maybe, next episode. Okay. So And let you guys let me know. I was thinking maybe Thursday nights, maybe around like 6 to 7, 6 to 7, 6:30 to 7:30, maybe come on and have discussions around, real estate. Because again, I like to be able to watch Christina's YouTube live from that time frame. She comes on at 4:30 on Sundays, you guys, every Sunday, 4:30 Eastern time. And then on Mondays, I like to go over and have a discussion with another cool buddy, Jackie Baker. She comes on 7:30s on Monday. And then on Tuesdays, I like to go and visit another cool person, which is Jen Sylvester. She comes on at 6 o'clock on YouTube's on Tuesday. So I was thinking maybe Thursday because I don't want to you know, I want to be able to go over to their space and hang out with them and listen to what they have to say because I love real estate, you guys. If you don't know, I know this might seem all rushed tonight and impromptu because it is impromptu. It's something that I just wanted to try and kind of live in the space and see if anybody kind of showed up and engaged in conversation with myself tonight. So I appreciate you guys for doing so. So I don't know. Let me know if you feel like Thursday is a good time because that's what I was thinking. Thursday nights. Um, I've been trying to actually get some people in here to have discuss topics with in regards to home insurance, in regards to estate planning, when it comes to different things, because there is something that I want to discuss when it comes to taxes. So, okay. Oh, okay. Lang Lang just texted me. So my cousin, she's watching. She said Thursdays. So if you guys feel like Thursdays is good, let me know. Thursdays, I'll do Thursdays. I'm cool with Thursdays. I just gotta make sure I just hit that, Thursday. But I'm gonna finish up real quick because I don't want to be on here too long because I know when these lives get too long, nobody wants to stay and watch it and watch it so long. But let me know if Thursday works. So like I said, the last thing was in regards to the tariffs. Um, Oh, you couldn't. Oh, you couldn't comment. Oh, sorry, Lang couldn't comment. I don't know why you can't comment, Lang. That's weird. Hopefully, you'll be able to comment next time because I know you have a lot to say too. Hopefully, you can comment next time. So let's see. Thursdays is fine. Okay, so Thursdays is good. So I'm getting Thursdays. Okay. So Thursdays at 6 o'clock to 7 or 6:30 to 7. What's a good time? 6:30 to 7:30 or 6 to 7. And we're going to try to stick within an hour because I know, like again, when you go too long, people don't want to watch you for so long. And people got lives and they don't want to just sit and watch me chat all the time. But I like doing the live better because it allows me to engage in conversation with you guys and see how you're feeling about housing and the market and just have different conversations. Then you can also put in the comments what type of topics to discuss, and I can see if I can get people on these lives to kind of discuss those topics. All right, so the tariffs, in regards to the tariffs, it says we estimate Trump and Biden tariffs will reduce long run GDP by 0.2% and capital stock by 0.1% and employment by 142,000 full time equivalent jobs. So, again, when it comes to the tariffs, we'll get off of that real quick. I know I'm kind of rushing through this right now, and then we'll jump into this topic real quick in regards to the tariffs. Hopefully, Portia, you got where the interest rates were at right now. That was conventional when it came to the interest rates. And then I showed you guys a little bit of my MLS. And then I showed you the interest rates. FHA interest rate is typically always lower than the conventional interest rate. When I looked at it earlier, I think it was around like 6.3% ish, 6.5. And VA typically is a little lower than FHA, or it might be at the same range as the FHA as far as interest rates. Let me see real quick. Let me see. Mortgage daily interest rates. She said she couldn't comment. I don't know why she can't comment. Let me see. Mortgage rates, FHA. FHA right now, mortgage rates. Yeah, it says as of November. Again, this is in different areas. I'll show you guys real quick the FHA one, and then we'll hit this real quick. She said yes, thank you. All right, I'll show you FHA real quick, Portia. FHA. So it's saying right here, FHA daily survey. If you guys can see it, it's saying FHA is November 8th, which is today, was at 6.3. November 7th was 6.48. So you can see how it went up November 6th after the election, and then it went back down the 7th and then the 8th. And then we'll have an update come Monday as far as where the interest rates are at when it comes to FHA. So this is FHA, a 30-year fix as of right now. This is the daily survey and it's the weekly. Excuse me, sorry again. So that's FHA. Let's do VA real quick, a 30-year VA. So you guys can kind of see where these interest rates are at. VA is at 6.32. It's down from, it bounced up after the election to 6.64, 6.65, the 7th, and 6.32. So again, this is the national average. It might be different depending on your debt to income ratio, your credit score, and all those different. Everybody's, interest rates are based off of their personal, you know, their personal situations. So it could be lower, it could be higher. So let's touch on this tariffs real quick, and then we're gonna get out of here so I don't keep y'all all night. But again, I appreciate you guys joining me. And then I gotta get on a phone call too for my seller client in regards to this home inspection that we read over earlier. So it says right here, praising tariffs, the greatest thing ever invented, is unusual. The title is typically reserved for sliced bread, but Donald Trump has always been vocal about trading policies. I don't know if you guys can see that. It said, let's go. The White House for Trump could raise U.S. home building costs as his proposed tariffs would likely increase prices for essential construction materials. This echoes the impacts of housing costs for his previous term through higher tariffs on Canadian lumber. Says that under President Joe Biden administration, tariffs on the Canadian softwood lumber have persisted and even doubled. This has led to mill closures and job losses in Canada, along with higher costs for U.S. builders. Trump's current proposals include a 10% to 20% tariff on all imports across the board, along with an additional tariff of 60 to 100% for products imported from China. On November 4th, the last day of campaigning, so this is talking about what Donald Trump said, he vowed to impose a 25% tariff on all Mexican goods if they don't stop this onslaught of criminals and drugs coming into our country. So that's what Donald Trump said. The Pantheon Microeconomics, hopefully I said that right, forecasters estimate that a 10% universal tariff could raise inflation by roughly 0.8 percentage points next year, adding further strain on U.S. manufacturers. According to the Tax Foundation, a 20% tariff would increase taxes on U.S. households by an average of $2,045. So basically, if he was to impose these tariffs, it could cause our lumber again to increase, and lumber we need to build houses. I know there have been some home builders looking at other ways to build houses, but lumber is traditionally how most houses are built. They're stick built. We do got some people, utilizing container homes and different things like that. I've seen it down here in some parts of Georgia, but most of the container homes I kind of seen in Atlanta, they were stick built and container built. So they had container homes on the bottom, but on the top part of it, if it was a 2-story or 3-story house, it was container built on the bottom, and then the 2 other stories were stick built. So they're basically combining both of the materials. So yeah, so his tariffs could actually drive up the cost of housing. But again, we don't know if any of these things will come to fruition. We don't know what they're going to do. This is just stuff based off of what he has said on his road to presidency. These are policies that he wants to put in place. So we're just reviewing these policies and what could possibly happen if they were to come to fruition. And we don't know. It could go good. It could go bad. We don't know which way it can go. This is just speculation, right? So again, thank you guys for joining me live tonight. And I will see you guys on Thursday. I'm not sure if 6 or 6:30 works for you guys, but I'll think of a time, but we'll do Thursdays, and I'll jump on Thursday night. And I appreciate everybody again for joining the conversation. Corey West, Portia, James, Christina, Eddie, Nick, Monique, Lang, even though she couldn't comment, Dallas, and everybody else. If I missed anybody, I appreciate you guys for joining tonight, and hopefully it wasn't too much information that it overwhelmed you. But again, thank you, and I will see you guys soon. All right.